Hey, what's up? It's Sean from sellingwithsean.com and the Agency Alliance Mastermind.com. Listen, so I wanted to post this because I've been told on more than one occasion, I'm trying not to laugh here, but that I live in a fantasy world, like Fantasyland. Like I don't live in reality. My life is not real life. And here's the thing. You're absolutely right. I live in a fantasy world, but it's a fantasy that I created. It's a fantasy to you and to everyone else who believes that my life is not reality, because I live life on my terms and I do what I want when I want. And if I decide I want to wake up and go to Vegas today, I can go and do that because I have a business that is highly successful, that runs, that's automated, that generates leads at a rate that is really incomprehensible to most people. And I don't have to stress about that. I have a badass sales team. I have a badass assistant. And our whole team is just badass. So that allows me a freedom that most people perceive as a fantasy. They believe that like having true freedom is not reality. But let me tell you, freedom is my reality. I busted my ass. You don't know how many 12, 14, 16, 18 hours a day that I put in on the ground level to build a foundation to create the empire that I'm creating today. To allow myself the freedom that I have today. You see, I didn't always have this freedom, but when I changed my mind, I changed my reality. When I changed my mind about what was real, and 8 to 5 isn't real, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day isn't real. That's the grind, that's the work that needs to be put in, that's the foundation. But what's real is what you really want out of life. What I really want out of life was freedom. What I really wanted out of life was to be able to travel 100,000 miles a year if that's what I wanted to do. Or to stay at home if that's what I wanted to do. But to have the freedom where I'm the boss, where I call the shots, where I'm not a slave to anybody else. That is my reality. That might be your fantasy, but that is my reality. So when you say that I live in a fantasy world, it might be a fantasy to you. But let me tell you folks, that is a reality for me, and that can be a reality for you if you will just get truly focused on what it is that you want out of life and be able to answer the question, what do you want? See, what I wanted was freedom. What I wanted was no more stress about where my next deal was coming from. What I wanted was to be able to help my clients experience the freedom that I have, to experience what they once thought was a fantasy and help them to realize that that fantasy can become a reality if you're willing to put the work that goes in to making it possible. So call it a fantasy if you want. But as long as you believe that that's a fantasy and that's a fairy tale and the shit's not real, it's never going to be possible for you. But it's possible for me because I changed my mind about what was real. And what's real is what I want. Sellingwithsean.com, I'm out.